Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Metro East Division Luncheon for August. First, I'd like to do is thank our year-long partners, First National Bank of Texas, Intex Electric, and K&S Heating and Air. And we're about to start the webinar, but just first a couple of reminders. We'll be taking questions for this program. Please put any questions you have in the Q&A, and you will find that featured at the bottom of the screen. Questions will be answered at the end of the program when the speakers are finished. And also, this panel will be recorded and made available on Dallas's BA YouTube channel and Facebook. We have two speakers today. Our first speaker is going to be Texas Representative Justin Holland, and he will discuss the impact of COVID-19 on Rockwall and Kaufman County and the businesses. And Justin, with that said, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and just to get to spend a little bit of time with you all. As we have all experienced, this is sort of the new way to do things. I think it's been good and productive that people can do these Zoom meetings from their home or their office. And as always, I'm glad to be a guest. This real estate market, I want to talk to just a little bit of background about me. If you don't know, I am the state representative for Rockwall and Holland County, it's part of Holland County, and have been proud to do that since 2017. I'm currently seeking my third term in office, but professionally, I'm a real estate broker. I own a small brokerage in Rockwall with about 50 agents, and we are called Regal Realtors. And so I get the good pleasure to both do the Texas legislature side and the real estate, work with builders, work with other real estate companies, and really immerse myself in the marketplace in Rockwall and the surrounding areas. And so I wanted to share a little bit about, we kind of hear a lot of doom and gloom about what's going on in our communities, but there have been many industries that have been hit negatively since the pandemic began earlier this year. But our real estate industry, whether that be real estate brokerages, builders, or the mortgage industry, has really flourished. And so where there are things that are negative, we're seeing a lot of positives right now. Home prices are rising faster than they ever have in North Texas, specifically in my area. So in Dallas County, sales prices jumped more than 15% over last year's July sales. The median sales prices in Dallas County are just above $280,000. Holland County had the highest median price at $366,000, which is up nearly 7% from last year. Proud to say that Rockwall County is doing really good too. They saw the largest annual July sales increase in the entire Metroplex, up 40% from a year earlier. Kaufman County just behind them at 35%. So what we're seeing right now in this market is like anything we've ever seen. And I attribute it to a couple of things. There's no science behind this, but just like the rest of you, we all sat in our homes in a stay-at-home period, working from home and doing different things. And I believe that a combination of historically low interest rates, which right now you can actually get something in the high twos, and we thought that the low threes was great, are pushing buyers into the market. And that's doing a couple of things. It's flipped our market back to somewhat of a seller's market. And then also, but what it also done is reduced our inventory a little bit, which is good for builders if you have land and to build homes. Because I think that if you were to ask any of your members, you would be seeing that home prices are remaining steady and up a little bit, as well as if you have inventory, it's selling like crazy right now. And then just the fact that people sitting in their homes with their family, spending more time than they ever had inside the home, just kind of looked up and said, I may want to downsize, or I may want to upgrade my home. I want to build a swimming pool. I want to build an outdoor kitchen or pergola, or remodel. So this construction industry here locally, I'm hearing that swimming pool builders are out a year right now. And then as realtors, as brokers, we are having our busiest times that I can recall in the last 10 years. We had a great year 5 years ago in
Okay, I'm in.
2015. And this has been a really, really interesting year for so many industries that are going negatively. Our industry is certainly in a positive standpoint right now. Real estate agents sold nearly 45,000 houses in the state last year. Last month. And so from that perspective, things are positive. I'll go ahead and pass it along to
Okay.
Tom. You want to?
I will. Thanks, Justin. I appreciate that. Next, I'd like to introduce the president of the Rockwall ISD Board of Trustees, John Bailey, and he'll discuss COVID-19 and the impact on schools and how that's working out right now. So, John, it's yours.
Good morning, and thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody allowing myself and Justin to be here with you today and share with you just a little bit about what's going on in this crazy world we live in right now, it seems like. Just to give you a little background on myself, born and raised in Heath, here in Rockwall County. Got a wife and two kids. Wife actually works for the district. She's an assistant principal at Linda Lyon Elementary School. And then I've got a daughter who's a senior this year. And so y'all pray for me. And I also have a son who is an 8th grader. So we have a vested interest in this community. My wife and I both grew up here. And it's just an honor and a pleasure to be able to give back to the district that taught us and raised us. And I can include Justin in on that because Justin's a lifelong Heath resident as well and a graduate of Rockwall High School. So what I'd like to do is take a few minutes today, and I've got Misty's got the PowerPoint pulled up, but I'd like to take just a few minutes and tell you a little bit of background about Rockwall ISD, some things that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. And then I would like to transition from that into how COVID-19 and this global pandemic has affected our district, our administration, our staff, our students, and our teachers. So Misty, if you could go on to the next slide. This picture here obviously is our board of trustees. We all come from different walks of life and different backgrounds, from civil engineers to realtors to ex-teachers. It's a very diverse group, and we're pretty proud of that. Last year, we were named a top 5 honor board in the state of Texas by the Texas Association of School Administrators. And most all of us have some pretty long tenures on there. I've been a member since 2013. You go to the next slide. I'll give you a few facts about our district. You can see that last year we ended with 17,124 students. We are considered a fast growth district with a steady and average growth rate of about 3% every year. Currently, we have 22 campuses. We have 16 elementary schools. We have 3 middle schools, 2 high schools, and a college and career technology facility out off of John King, if anybody's ever driven by there. But we're about to wrap up our 2015 bond program with the construction of Elementary 16, which you're going to see here in just a second. But, interestingly enough, with Rockwall County, we really encompass 5 cities. But at the end of the day, obviously, we consider ourselves one in regards to Rockwall ISD. On the next slide, we have a 97.8% graduation rate, which is one of the top around in the Metroplex, and we're very proud of that. We also have, on the next slide, 110% increase in our career and technical education enrollment, due largely to our new College and Career Academy that I mentioned just a minute ago, the Dr. Jean Burton College and Career Academy. One of the neat things that we're doing for our elementary students is giving them an opportunity to have a math pathway as they continue to grow in their studies and as they continue to grow in maybe being above grade level. And so on the next slide, you can see there that it allows our students to participate in advanced math courses starting in the 5th grade. So we're able to take them in the 5th grade and the 6th grade, bus them over to the middle schools so that they can take middle school classes, and some of these kids are really excelling in this. So the fact that we've more than doubled that shows that there's some excitement with the kids and having that opportunity. On the next slide, as I mentioned, we just built our 15th elementary school, which is Sherry and Paul Ham Elementary School. Sherry and Paul both were educators in Rockwall ISD when I was there and when Justin was there. So it's always neat now for me to sit back as we go through the naming process of each of our new schools and not just see it as a name on a building, but see it as somebody that we know personally. And that's really exciting to see. On the next slide is an aerial view of our Gene Burton College and Career Academy. Like I said, it's out off of John King, just between 205 and 276. This has been a huge success for us. We get students from both of our high schools, from Rockwall High School and Rockwall Heath High School, that attend courses at the academy every single day. Those that can drive over for certain classes, but we also offer bus service. It's a 151,460 square foot facility, houses 29 career and technical programs. Academy students are a part of programs that obviously prepare them for the future through professional certifications, or they can get dual credit for courses, and they can earn up to 24 credit hours by the time they graduate from high school. So it's an amazing facility, and we've got a lot of good partnerships, which leads me to the next slide that Representative Holland will love, is our unique partnership with Texas Tech University inside the Burton Academy. And it brings a tier 1 university opportunity to our community through a regional teaching site. We also have a partnership with Holland College as well. So we're excited to have both of those universities on board with us. Give you a little insight to inside the Gene Burton Academy. If you'll flip the slide here, is our culinary team. One of our pride and joys over there, and our culinary arts team won the state title for the 4th year in a row and was the national champion last year. Chef Cody Hayes over there does an amazing job of preparing these students. Every year during School Board Appreciation Month in January, the culinary arts students prepare a dinner for us that is second to none. So very talented group of kids over there. Let's talk a little bit about the tax rate. On the next slide, you'll see what our 30-year tax rate history has been. Back in 91, 92, we were at $1.38. We just recently, as of Monday night, the board approved and adopted our tax rate that's the lowest in 30 years that it's been, at $1.31. Obviously, with the increased tax appraisals, and the impact that that's had on taxpayers, we're trying to do our part as a board and as a district to minimize that as much as possible by being good financial stewards of the resources that we have. The $1.31 tax rate breaks down, just for reference, if anybody cares to know, our M&O tax rate, which is our maintenance and operations, is 94 cents. And our INS, which is our interest in sinking, basically our bonds and things of that nature, are 37 cents. A couple of other key points on this: a 4-cent decrease from last year. It's a 12-cent decrease over the last 2 years, and it's the lowest tax rate of any of our surrounding districts. So we're pretty proud of that. Next, and the last slide before we get into COVID, our district has met the highest state accountability rating, earning an A for 2 years in a row. TEA didn't rate districts last year, so you won't see anything if you look on our website, but that was because of the COVID-19 emergency. So enough about our district. Let's talk about the impacts that COVID has had on our 2020-2021 start. Sometimes I laugh and say, your guess is as good as mine. It changes so often, it's crazy. But what we wanted to do was we wanted to give our parents an opportunity to tell us what they would like to see in regards to the start of school. Community impact or community feedback, I'm sorry, is extremely important to us. So Misty, on the next slide, you will see we put out a survey across the district, and we had 62% of our parents are choosing to send their kids back to school, whether that be in person at the K through 6 level, or K through 8 level, I'm sorry, and then a hybrid version, which I'll talk about in just a minute, for our high schoolers. And 38% of those parents elected to do solely remote. So they will not attend, obviously, school in person, but they will get their online learning where they will log in through different platforms that we have set up. But obviously, having a split like this, obviously it's weighted more heavily towards families who want their kids to go back to school, but having this split has obviously produced a tremendous amount of challenges for our district, but not just our district, obviously, districts all across the state and the country for that matter. On the next slide, you can actually skip one, you can skip that one and go to the next one. We're going to talk a little bit about operations and what that looks like inside of our schools. You can see that we have put in markers, social distancing markers on floors, on walls, just trying to remind kids each and every day to follow those rules as best we can. We've got signs that hang that talk about best safety practices and reminders. We have shut down our water fountains, the old original water fountains, and we put in bottle filling stations. So we're encouraging kids to bring their bottles of water so that they can refill it in a touchless manner. Hand sanitizing stations everywhere, but we also have plexiglass in reception areas. And we're also going to be having plexiglass shields inside the classrooms as well for teachers and students. On the next slide, we talk a little bit about technology, and sometimes I think this gets lost, but this is immensely important. We have a lot of students in our district that don't have access to technology, and not just a Chromebook or a laptop of that nature, but also Wi-Fi hotspots. I mean, there's so many different things that you don't think about that the kids don't have access to, unfortunately. And so we as a district have made sure that we have purchased enough Chromebooks and enough hotspots. We did an approval on Monday night to make sure that we're giving every student that needs it an opportunity to have that technology, especially those students that are 100% remote learners. We need to make sure that there's no disruptions in their learning each and every day so that they would have access to that. So also, we wanted to make sure that our in-person learners also have technology as well, because we obviously can't predict the future and we don't know what's going to happen as we continue to move forward with this virus and when we open up schools. And so should we have an unfortunate incident where we had to close the school down or close the entire district down for a period of time, the students that are in-class learners are also going to be trained on the remote learning side, so that if we have a shutdown for any particular reason, that is a seamless transition. When those kids go home, then they will have access to jump right on the very next day and continue on with their learning, and they have the technology to help them with that. Go to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about our elementary side. You can go ahead and flip it one more time, Misty. This next week, as most of you have heard, we start school next Wednesday, where we will actually start day one. But on Monday and Tuesday of next week, we're offering an opportunity for the students who are coming back in person to be able to come in at a scheduled time where they can actually meet the teacher. They can come in with one parent during their allotted time frame, be able to meet the teacher, see what the classroom is going to look like, see what live learning is going to look like in the classroom, and they can and obviously the teacher can set the expectations then of what these kids are going to have to deal with each and every day, so that it's not a surprise on day one when they walk in. For our remote learners, they'll be able to do the same thing with the meet the teacher. It'll just be on an online version. We're requiring face coverings for all students grades 4 through 12. for grades pre-K through third grade, the district's purchased face shields. It's not a requirement at those grade levels, but we are encouraging our younger students to wear those shields, especially in areas where they're transitioning, maybe down a hallway, or they're transitioning to a lunchroom or whatever, where they cannot social distance and be able to have that separation that they need. We have also purchased for our remote learners some additional hands-on instructional kits so that they have the same learning materials that our in-person learners have. And we've got about 3,200 elementary students right now enrolled in our remote learning programs. And we will have teachers specifically designated for that. Those teachers will be in the classroom teaching the remote students as they log in each day. On the next slide shows you a little bit of our in-person school day. You can see there that before we leave, we are asking each of the parents, and we've really tried to communicate this, to check their kids for symptoms. If they're sick, stay home. Take your temperature, monitor those symptoms. We don't want anybody to be infected. So gone are the days of, giving your kid an Advil and sending them to school. We need them to really be diligent about checking to make sure that they're screening their kids before they go to school. On the bus, we are still offering bus transportation, but we are asking that each of our students sit in individual seats, except if you're in the same household, you could double up on those seats. We're encouraging parents to drive their kids to school should they have that ability. That will cut down on the amount of bus riders that we would have so that we can continue to try to maintain the social distancing. Plexiglass for desk shields for students and for teachers. The chairs will be and the desks will be 6 feet apart. We're going to have grab and go breakfasts available for students as well as lunches. We obviously encourage them to wash their hands and to use the bottle fill stations and all of those things. And then we have some pickup when parents come back to pick them up. We have some rules and regulations that we need them to follow on that. So that just gives you a little bit of a day in the life. On the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about what high school looks like. And I mentioned to you just a minute ago, we talked about the hybrid schedule. We realized very quickly that we have over 2,000 students at each of our 2 high schools. And when you have 62% of the learners that say, I want to go back in person, when TEA and the state says it's local control, but if you choose to go back, you need to follow these guidelines. We realized very quickly that with the mass amount of students that we have, we were not going to be able to follow those guidelines. We would have needed to be somewhere in the 50% range. But the governor was gracious enough and TEA was gracious enough to agree to allow a hybrid option. And so with that, we'll have students by alphabet that will go 2 days a week to class in person, and then the other 3 days they will do their work at home. This will allow us to be able to manage traffic in the schools and manage the social distancing and the things that we need to do to follow the guidelines set forth to our district. But you can see that both groups on Wednesday, so you'll have Monday and Tuesdays, and then Wednesdays, both groups will learn remotely, and then Thursdays and Fridays, you'll have some more in person, but it'll alternate depending upon your last name. So an interesting way to do it, but it does give the kids an opportunity to get back in the classroom, but also allows us the opportunity to be able to manage that. From a safety and security standpoint, on the next slide or two here, we as a board had to purchase PPE equipment. We got an allotment from the state and we've distributed those to our campuses. You can see we had each of our campuses and our administrative leads driving by to our warehouse to pick up those PPE items for each of their schools. There was a little checklist that they marked off that they had received those. Those included face shields, hand sanitizer, masks. In addition to the state supplies, we continue to purchase PPEs for our schools and staff. One of those, when we talk about one of the major impacts, we spent a little over $3.4 million that you'll see here in just a few minutes of additional money that we didn't allocate for, because who would have ever guessed that we would be dealing with a global pandemic. But this was a major impact, obviously, to our district. But we were fortunate to be able to have the funds on hand to provide the PPE equipment that we needed additionally from our state supplies. If you'll turn the page, this is hot off the press right here. This actually went live yesterday, but part of the Texas Education Agency, notification of lab positive COVID-19 cases will be sent to staff and families of the affected campus or department. But Rockwall ISD has another layer of communication and transparency. And so we're going to provide our own COVID-19 dashboard that you see right here. So parents can go online to our website and they can click on that parents link, and it takes them to dashboard where they will be able to see and track all lab positive students or staff cases at each of our schools. And this will be updated daily. Obviously, for HIPAA reasons, we don't put students' names. We're not doing any of that. But what it will do is it'll allow the parents to be able to see how many positive cases that each of the schools have had, or particularly their school. If you turn to slide one more, here's that breakdown of a little over $3.4 million that I talked about of what it's costing the district and safety. And you can see the breakout there, but just when you think you've thought of everything, then we get a phone call that says we've got to have this, or we need to have that. I've never seen something change more often than this. I mean, it's literally every 30 minutes to an hour, there's something new coming down the pipe. But this has had a pretty big financial impact on our district. And this obviously doesn't include the additional nurses and custodians that we've hired for school safety. We will have our custodial crew will come in with electrostatic sprayers each day at the end of the school day, and they'll be cleaning that. Teachers throughout the day they've provided with cleaning materials, so they'll do wipe downs of Chromebooks, they'll do wipe downs of the plastic shields, things that are dividing the students, and then each evening it will get a deep clean with our custodial crew. With that, I am finished with my presentation portion, so I guess Misty will do some Q&A.
Okay, let's see what we've got. You know what? We've got no questions so far.
Either we did a good job, Justin, or we bored them to death, one of the two.
All right. Tom, you want to come back on and close it out?
I can. Justin and John, thank you very much for coming on this afternoon and doing this program for us. We really appreciate it. I think both presentations covered a lot, especially about the school. I know that's a complicated issue and what's going on. But thanks for doing that for us. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming this afternoon, and look forward to look on your calendars for our next meeting coming up. It'll probably be about 30 days or 45 days or so. But with that said, I'll end the meeting and thank everyone for coming. See you later. Bye.